Say hello to my little friend. Holding a grenade launcher. Sitting behind a mountain of cocaine. That's right. Scarface. 1983. Apparently this movie is also a remake. This channel should just be called Death to Original Movies. I can't seem to find the original of the movie I want to review. But this movie the remake was done in like the 30s. Ain't no one got time for that. I'm not wasting my time watching a movie from the 30s. So, Scarface 1983 is the movie that I am reviewing. It is widely considered one of, if not the greatest, gangster films ever. It sort of shows the other side, the dark side of life, with a really compelling story, following the main character, played by Al Pacino, or Tony Montana, right? It's sort of a rags to riches story. He starts at the bottom of life, right? He immigrates to the U.S. from Cuba in 1980 and fights his way to the top of this criminal drug organization to where he's like the head guy, right? But it doesn't start that way. It starts, the movie, with him doing like this hit job, but it doesn't really get him anywhere. And he's working at this Cuban sandwich shop with his best friend Manny, who's like his sidekick. And this drug organizer guy comes over to him. He's like, hey, I got a job for y'all. And it's basically like this really low-end job, but it's more money than they're making at the Cuban sandwich shop. And Tony just refuses the offer. He's like, no, I will not stoop to that level. He's fighting, and the guy is like, you have nothing. Why are you pretending like you're someone when you're nothing? But they eventually give in. He negotiates with this really, really high stakes job. And Tony accepts the job. And that's sort of the next step in the movie, is him doing this job where he gets betrayed and sort of backstabbed. He loses some friends in the job, and he's able to find out who betrayed, and he's able to fight back, and he's able to take over the drug organization. And yeah, and that's sort of where the movie kind of, the climax of it is when he is at the top of this drug organization. And it's really cool how he gets there. Like he's doing these hit jobs, and then he is like meeting a supplier of cocaine in Bolivia to like do like business. And it's really cool how it's done. It sort of shows the business side of it and how it's all working behind the scenes, right? But it sort of culminates, right? He's at the top of his life. He's got more money than Saudi Arabia. He's got his best friend, who's like his sidekick, working for him. He's got this beautiful house. He's got the girl, played by Michelle Pfeiffer, that white gold, sort of this. He's got everything he could possibly want or imagine. He's got his own beauty salons, his own restaurants, his own clothing. He's invested the money he's made from cocaine, and he just is so stupid wealthy. And there's the best scene in the movie, to me, is sort of 30 minutes-ish before the end of the movie, when they're sitting in a restaurant, and he's drunk, and clearly depressed, and sort of exhausted, and the curtain of his reality is removed, and he sort of sees for the first time what his life has become. He looks over at his friend Manny, and is like, I can't even trust you anymore. He looks over at his wife, and he says, you're a junkie. He's like, I've got no friends. I've got a junkie for a wife. I'm depressed. And he sort of is really mean at them, and they both leave him in the restaurant. And he's kind of taking this all in, and he's like, man, I have lost everything important to me. This is what has happened. And he sort of stumbles around in this restaurant. It's full of wealthy people. And he makes this speech that is just so good. He gets up from the ground. He's sort of in a drunken stumble, and he's like, "You all people, the rich people." He's like, "You all need someone like me to call the bad guy, because you're not even going to look at your own life and come to the realization of the corrupt things that you have done. At least I'm honest about it." He's like, "I'm able to see what's happening in my life, but you need me. You need me to be the bad guy so that you can continue living in this way that you want to live, even though you're as corrupt as me, or even more corrupt." And it's so, Al Pacino does such a great job in that scene. It's so convincing. Another thing I like about this movie is that as it progresses, there's really no plot armor. There's no no character survives. Literally everyone dies eventually in the movie. Even Tony, even Manny, and Michelle Pfeiffer disappears after the restaurant scene. We don't know what happened to her, but she's not there anymore. And it sort of culminates into this battle between the Bolivian drug manufacturer and Tony's empire. You know, as Tony was the one who fought his way to the top and to take down the leaders, he was just another spoke in the wheel. It was his turn now to be overthrown. And so that's sort of the end of the movie, is they're fighting, and the only plot armor really is Tony gets shot like 17 times. He's so high on cocaine, he just literally cannot die. But then some guy just walks up behind him with a shotgun and kills him. So, and that's where it ends. That's where it ends. The movie ends with his death, Tony's death. And what I would say about this movie is that it's really, the one word I would describe is eye-opening. It shows the other side. But it's not really a movie that I would grab a bunch of my friends together and, hey, let's watch Scarface, and let's watch how depressing how depressing life can be. And so to me, it's not one of those movies that has a strong rewatchability. And so that really factors into my review of this movie. And so with that said, I am aware it's such a popular movie and such a, gangster iconic film. But to me, with all those things that I said, it's still not, to me, a movie that I would consider one of the greatest movies of all time, something that I would just love to watch at any moment in time. And so for that reason, my review for it would be a 6 out of 10. That's my review.